Okay, I'd like to bring the Upper Moreland Township regular meeting December 5th to order. With that, first, we'll have a moment of silence. If you would, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Matt, if you would take roll.
Ward 1, Ward 2, here. Ward 3,
Here.
Ward 4,
Here.
Ward 5,
Here.
Ward 6,
Here.
Ward 7.
Here.
Mr. President, all commissioners are present.
Okay, any presentations or announcements?
There are none.
Okay. The only announcement I have, board met in executive session for personnel and litigation discussion. Next, public comments of non-agenda items only. Any? No? Okay, we'll move on. Treasurer's activity report.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's activity report for November 2023.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any commissioner comments on it? Any public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay, approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from November 13, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any commissioner comment? Any public comment? Okay, abstain? Or all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes. Committee recommendations. Public Health and Safety Committee first. Charles.
Yes, good evening. The Public Health and Safety recommends from our November 27th meeting the following action on the motions to approve ordinance 1750.
Okay, do I have a
Second.
We have a second. This motion is amending the repeal of the portion of the section which certifies the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company as part of the Upper Moreland Township Department of Fire repeal of ordinance number 526. Commissioner comments.
Yeah, I have some. As you all know, a study was commissioned by the township regarding longstanding issues within the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company. The foremost recommendation was to create a new fire chief position to oversee the township firefighter staff and the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company. Chief Glassman was hired in large part because of his combination of vast municipal experience and 25 years as a volunteer firefighter. He has worked to address the problems within the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company as much as he could from the outside. He is the township's leader and expert regarding fire safety and has recommended this action. If this action is approved, as a reminder to residents who are concerned about safety and response, there is already paid coverage 24/7 as was deemed necessary months ago. And going forward, Chief Glassman will work to create a team which includes volunteers as an integral component, and we all hope that some of the dedicated and valuable volunteers will continue to serve our community. One final thought, we are considering the action to improve public safety in a fiscally responsible manner. We are residents too, and our responsibility and only goal is to do what we think is best for our community. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments?
Yeah, I prepared something as well. I wish mine was as pithy as Commissioner Lockard's. It's not, and I apologize in advance, but bear with me. I do not take this topic nor this vote lightly. I've done my best to gather the information presented over the course of the last several weeks as public discourse, the last several months as discussion between the township and the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company, and the last several years as a personnel issue for Upper Moreland Township. There's no doubt that the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company has provided a service to this community and that many of you here tonight have been impacted positively by their expertise and bravery. I never put words in the mouths of my fellow commissioners, but I can say with certainty that no one on this board thinks otherwise. This vote and this conversation is not a referendum on volunteering. It is an issue of whether or not we as a community can continue to recognize an organization that does not function in a manner that aligns with the standards of Upper Moreland Township, that does not provide the existing and new volunteers with a comfortable and inclusive environment, and then does not operate safely within the standards of firefighting procedures. I hope that this statement clears up some of the misinformation around these points. The challenge here is twofold: to make you, my fellow residents of Upper Moreland Township, understand that although this may seem quick to you, it has not been a fast series of events for us, and that public health and safety is the reason for this controversial conversation. Public health and safety is at risk, and to sit by and do nothing while a new board gets up to speed on several years of administrative minutia would be irresponsible. The facts presented to you last week indicate the situation will only get worse. Last week, you all heard that there was nothing in the Sullivan report that was news to the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company. In fact, these issues have been continual concerns between the two factions of the fire department for many years. Given that little has been done internally to address these issues, we need to make a move as a community to facilitate a larger change. It is important to note that the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company is not a township entity. Ultimately, if their bylaws and board members do not agree with our goals as a township, the metrics that we set for a safe community, and the code required standards that we are obligated to adhere to, the only thing we can do is find alternate solutions. For many years, previous boards have allowed the two organizations to grow further apart. This board has decided to stop the spiral by bringing this information forward and voting on what we should do next. Many of you were discouraged by the mention of township control last week. Our logic behind this control is to establish a mutual understanding of these guidelines and how to best follow them, both in our financial and personal responsibilities. It is nothing more. It is a level of mutual respect in our shared chief, our shared equipment, and our shared community. I was truly moved by the statements of several of the volunteers who had the courage to speak up last week. Dante, Lauren, and Brian each spoke of their commitment to volunteering and to this community. I do not want to lose that or spoil the drive inside each of them to make a difference. This township and this board deeply appreciate their commitment and their time. We want them to have a home here and to continue to share their time and energy to public health and safety. What we don't want is for them to be part of an entity that does not provide them with the support and values that they themselves embody. If you recall, only 16 of the 60 members of the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company are actually firefighters. These 16 are the people we want to continue being firefighters, and we will do everything we can to support their craft and their generosity. What this board, and what I'm sure the community does not want, is an entity of firefighters in name only. I know that I, as a resident, want firefighters who can do the job too. The goal is to work together to create an institution that operates under the values and standards of Upper Moreland firefighters, whether they be paid or volunteer. I know that those who feel so passionately about volunteering will feel even more passionate about it once a culture is established that thrives on respect and inclusion. Brian Wagner said it best: volunteers want appreciation in more ways than just monetary. As the BOC, we unfortunately cannot provide forms of appreciation outside of what we are already doing, and those happen to be monetary in nature. As an aside, we've also commissioned an architect and an engineer to study both stations to provide better work, living conditions in order to encourage that sense of community. What I heard last week from these amazing volunteers is that they are seeking a feeling of belonging, a sense of communion with fellow volunteers. That needs to come from the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company, but as you've now read in the Sullivan report, this is not and is not occurring. We want to help form a group that can provide this sense of pride by encouraging the volunteers to create it. This vote is about recognizing a new group of volunteer firefighters with these values. There will be growing pains. Nothing says that if the BOC votes yes, that it will work, but we need to try. Our administrative staff and Chief Glassman have a plan in place, and I trust them to implement it. They are the experts. Current statistics and trends in our current system are not going in the right direction. We need to make a drastic change to ensure the health and safety of our community. I hope that you as a community and you as volunteers see the logic in this and join in to create something new and sustainable. Thank you for listening to me. I know there was a lot there, but I hope that you can feel my sincerity. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comment?
Yes. Thank you both. Very eloquent comments. So I just want to respond to a couple accusations that were made. First of all, I want to thank everybody that volunteers for anything in Upper Moreland. It's certainly, I've always said that it's the people that live here and the people that contribute here are things that make Upper Moreland special. So thank you. Little League, basketball, wrestling, all that stuff, soccer, volunteer fire company. It doesn't work without all that. So we were, as commissioners, we were accused of lack of transparency, rush to judgment, our minds are made up, and none of that could be further from the truth. And I appreciate all the emails that I got, and I try to answer everyone individually. There's a bunch that came in today, and I will respond to them as well. Our minds were never made up, and I agree with both commissioners about the input that we got from the public comments last. Rush to judgment couldn't be further from the truth. Transparency, I ask you to look at the leadership of the existing volunteer fire company for that, because I think that's where there's a lack of transparency. Now, as far as giving it more time, that's a problem. If we're aware of a problem and, you know, we're worried about insufficient response and we put people at risk, I think that's the worst thing you can do, is give it more time. Can't evaluate it any more than we already have. And that would be a mistake, and that would put us more at risk, and it would put the municipality at risk. Thank you very much.
Any other commissioner comments?
As chair, excuse me, as the chair of the Public Health and Safety Committee, we are always mindful of what commitment is and what duty we have to the community. We hope that in this vote, you keep in mind that we value every member of the community's health and safety. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Public comment. Anybody can give public comment to any other full board meeting. We do not respond in this meeting as a full board as to questions. But I'll ask anybody that wants to come up, you can come up once and give a comment if you would like. Whoever.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chuck Jones. I'm Battalion Chief for the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company. I just want to step up here and talk a little bit. I didn't talk the last couple of meetings. I've been kind of sitting back, seeing how things are going. I've been with the Volunteer Fire Company for 33 years. Born and raised in the department. So I wasn't one of those kids that got left in the station or in a field on Orangeman's Road. And some things since I've been a member of the Willow Grove Fire Department, I know there was a lot of times where, volunteers can't talk to commissioners can't talk to volunteers. And that may have not have been what you figured, and that may not have been, we may be getting mixed information. But I just wish that during this process, we would have been more involved as volunteers, because we were talked to, but it seemed to be that they were talking to different groups and not the actual guys who ride the trucks. So I wish you would have given a little bit more time for that and just thought about us. So it's a hard thing to listen. Like I said, I've been here forever and part of the substation at the north end of town, and I don't want to see anything, and I don't think public safety is really that at risk. We still come out, we do get out. I don't know how much that's going to change as a volunteer. If you get more volunteers, we're still volunteers, and you're going to get more volunteers. There's really not that many to pull from, as we have our 12 active guys that ride the trucks right now. So maybe it'll be a good thing. I don't know. It's been, so I would say, and she's been here about 2 years, I'd say about a year and a half where the volunteers have been training with the paid staff. It's been great. I think we have a great group of paid firefighters. We have a great group of part-timers, and they're very respectful. So it's been kind of nice. Like, if I would come to a fire scene or in the station, I didn't know who they were, I'd ask. I'd say, hello, I'm Chuck Jones, and they would say their names and stuff like that. I just think at this point in time, we're just trying to get things to work. Now, all of a sudden, I'm not gonna say, we're kind of kicked to the curb, but we're not. It's like we didn't really have much of a say. So I just think, I sent an email. I wasn't going to email it, but I decided to email each individual commissioner. I had 3 replies, and I appreciate those replies. I wish others would have replied to me. One individual, I knew what his reply was going to be, but I appreciate him for replying. So take a look at my email if you did or did not. Please, I just want to give you, and I know you've thought about this a lot, just give it one more thought. All right, that's all I can give you, and I appreciate everybody's help. And I know I sat up there before the Public Safety Committee, and it was nice to be involved and learn what's going on. But that's all I got, and best of luck to everybody that's leaving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stuart Greenleaf, 417 Bartram Road, and counsel to the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company and its Relief Association. I want to start by reemphasizing for the entire Board of Commissioners my comments to the Public Safety Committee from last week. The Fire Services study that the Township Commission nowhere advocates or even contemplates the draconian action being contemplated tonight. Nowhere does that study suggest that decertifying the fire company, whatever problems it may be experiencing, would benefit the people of Upper Moreland or make them safer. In fact, the opposite is the case. The study sets out recommendations for working with the fire company to bolster the organization, not pull the rug out from under it. Unfortunately, the report of that study was concealed from my clients for 2.5 years. That was 2.5 years of lost opportunity, which my clients could have had a fully informed discussion with the township to address the issues outlined in the study. So again, I ask that the commissioners table this action so that the fire company can have that fully informed conversation with the township and do so with the newly elected commissioners who will be joining this board next month and who will be democratically accountable to the people of Upper Moreland. I respectfully suggest that that action be much more in line with public safety than to kick dedicated and qualified volunteers to the curb when the township admittedly has no fully formed backup plan. But I also want to address the justification that we have been told is motivating the township's proposal here. We have heard a lot about public safety. We have been told that public safety requires that the draconian action of decertifying our volunteers must happen now, without any further efforts to carry out the actual recommendations of the township's own fire services study to bolster, not decertify the volunteers. However, the recent expressions of concern for public safety as the basis for the proposed action just do not make sense to me. And when I look at the timeline of events, the concern for public safety are completely at odds with the township's actions over the last 2.5 years, and in particular at odds with the township's actions over the last 3 months. Instead, the township's actions create the appearance, that I hope is not the case, that this all has more to do with the township wanting to take control of the hundreds of thousands of dollars in state money statutorily intended to benefit the volunteers rather than public safety. The timeline starts with the fire services study just recently released to the public. That study was proposed in January 2021 and completed with a report issued in June 2021. That is the study the township relies on now to claim the volunteers present a public safety risk to the township and must be decertified immediately. But if that is true, why did the township conceal the report from the public and from the volunteers for the next 2.5 years? If the study reveals a public safety risk that requires the immediate action being considered today, why did the township not do so right then and there, instead of allowing the volunteers to continue their services for the next 2.5 years? I believe it is because our volunteers do not, in fact, present a public safety risk. Fast forward to July 25th, 2022. On that date, the Fire Company and Relief Association met with township staff, and one of the topics discussed is the Relief Association's decision to discontinue its whole life insurance program, which, despite being approved by the State Auditor General, was becoming a financial drain. Ending that program meant that volunteers, including some with decades of service behind them, gave up a valuable benefit to switch to a more fiscally responsible benefit option. 2 months later, on September 21st, 2022, the township received from the state the Relief Association's $138,000 in 2022 funds intended for the volunteers. Even though the township was required by state law to remit that money to the Relief Association, it did not do so. Instead, 1 week later, on September 29th, 2022, the township solicitor accused the Relief Association of misuse of the state funds and referred the accusation to the Auditor General. Notably, there is nothing in that letter that mentions public safety. In May 2023, the Auditor General completed its audit in response to the township's accusations and issued a report. The Auditor General's report completely cleared the Relief Association of any misuse. However, the Auditor General did make one finding, not against the fire company or the Relief Association, but against the township itself. The Auditor General found that the township was violating the law by withholding the Relief Association's state money and directed the township to release the money in compliance with the law. But still, the township refused to release the money. Rather, 3 months later, in August 2023, the township presented the fire company and the Relief Association with a proposed fire services agreement that would define the relationship between the township and the fire company and the Relief Association, as the fire company continued to provide firefighting services to the township. Here again, if the volunteers were really a public safety threat, proposing a fire services agreement that would permit the volunteers to continue providing services seems inconsistent with any public safety concern. The fire services agreement proposed many provisions that would provide operational control of the fire company to the township, require the fire company and Relief Association to disclose their financials and be completely transparent financially with the township, and importantly, also hand over control of the Relief Association's hundreds of thousands of dollars in state funds. After some negotiations back and forth, the fire company and Relief Association agreed to the township's operational control and complete financial disclosure and transparency. The Relief Association, however, would not agree to hand over its fiduciary decision-making responsibilities over the state funds to the township. Now, if public safety was the motivating concern, the parties' agreement on operational control should have satisfied those public safety concerns. However, the township still was not satisfied. The township instead demanded the fire services agreement include township control of the state funds and threatened decertification otherwise. That is when we hear from the township that public safety requires immediate decertification. And on November 13th, 2023, 2.5 years after it was completed, the public learns for the first time that the fire services study report does in fact exist. That timeline paints a picture that suggests control of state money intended to benefit volunteers is motivating this rushed action. All the time between here, June 2021, to here, November 2023, the township was not waiving the fire services study publicly, expressing alarm of a public safety problem. It was only after the Relief Association refused to relinquish state funds to the township, refused to relinquish control of state funds to the township, that the township expressed those concerns to the public. I hope that is not the case. And if the public safety really is the commissioner's concern, I again ask that the commissioners table this action so that the fire company can work with the township to address the concerns in the study and to do so with the newly elected commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Fred Standard, 2024 Parkside Avenue, Ward 2. I've talked to you numerous times at every meeting so far. And here again, I'm asking you to reconsider the decertifying on a couple of things. First of all, we all talk about that safety report or survey that came out in 2021. One of the big things that stated in there was to have a combined company. We have never had a combined company in Upper Moreland Township. We have always had one level that was career, one level that was volunteer. We've never meshed the two of them together like other municipalities have. Why? I don't know. That's the reason why we're here tonight. It's because we keep having this battle between career and volunteer. As for the volunteer firefighters, they have displayed their courage numerous times, because one thing about a volunteer is they put their lives on the line, never knowing if they're going to come home or not for money, but from their heart. They do what they do because they believe in what they do. It's not for that paycheck, it's not for that union pay or anything else. They do it, they get up out of bed, whether it be Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, they get up out of bed and they respond. They respond regardless. Now you're going to put us down in 5 days, if you decertify, to 3 firefighters in Upper Moreland Township that will be on duty, and you pray that you get mutual aid. Stop and think about public safety. At least now, we are getting out volunteers. If we have any major fire, we will get volunteers. We keep talking about this 2021 study that was kept a big secret for many, many years. I mean, it's only came out here in the past 2 months what the study actually said. I've heard the township manager list a bunch of things that the volunteers need to do. But at the same time, there was a list of things that needs to be done to unite the fire company, to make it, whether it be the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company under Upper Moreland Township, or whether it gets redesignated to the Upper Moreland Township Fire Department, is here nor there. Keep the name going. Keep the volunteers you have in place in place. Let us keep safety first and not worry about egotism and who controls what money where. Because the Relief Association is only for volunteers, and it's never going to go to paid firefighters. That's according to the law. That's written in the Commonwealth law, that Relief Association money is strictly for volunteer firefighters and volunteer firefighter organizations. So why don't we try to combine what we have now instead of decertifying one and then trying to miraculously come up with a volunteer company after we deactivate one? I don't know. That just don't make sense to me. That's like cutting off my nose to spite my face. Why would I want to get rid of volunteers and then try to get volunteers when everybody knows how hard it is to get volunteers right now? So I ask you to take a good hard look in your heart as far as what's best for Upper Moreland Township. What's best for us to have good quality firefighting here in the township, because as we all know, we don't need to have a police department in every municipality, but you have to have fire support in every municipality. Because you can always have state police depending on the borough and the size of it. But you gotta always have fire department. So I strongly recommend that you do not decertify Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company tonight, and that you start to work on ways to make it one solid company and make it a good effort to where we can get volunteers and career working together for a common goal of public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anybody else want to make a comment? Okay. With that, we are to we have a motion. We had a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we have a motion to approve ordinance 1751. Chief Classroom, please.
First, we got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Okay. This is amending township prevention permit fee schedule. Now, Chief Glassman.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ordinance 1751 deals with the fire fee permit inspections. The fees have not been adjusted since at least 1989. So what we did, we took some of the classifications and we turned them into square footage. So we have 7 different classes of square feet that will be assessing people for their inspections. And we also adjusted it from the inflation calculator from 1989 to present day. And the fees are attached on page 2. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any commissioner comment? Any public comment?
Just the fact that this was discussed in committee extensively.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
And the final bit of business, the December 18th Public Health and Safety Committee meeting has been canceled.
Okay. Finance and Administration Committee. Sam?
Okay. Matt, do you want to just give a comment as we enter into the budget?
Sure.
Let me make one clarification before you keep going.
Yeah.
I said December 5th. It's actually December 4th.
4th, yeah.
When I opened the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Valenza. Actually, I wanted to point out one correction on the December 4th summary. If you look in the one that was on the township website over the last week or so, there's a few changes. And it's really as a result of not implementing the use of surplus funds in the budget. So in the original budget, it reflected a higher proposed tax rate increase. The current one reflects the accurate tax increase. So just to summarize, on the summary, the first paragraph is correct. The second paragraph, however, should read, additional real estate tax revenue of $1,156,808 will be used to help balance the budget. In the previous one, that was $1,300,000 and some change. This is an increase of 13.14%, which equates to approximately $114 per year for properties assessed at the township average of $138,691. The refuse fee will remain the same at $215. In addition, $632,000 in ARPA expenditures are included in the budget. And then the other changes here in the next paragraph. Based on the above, the township is projected to have a $6,212,000 in reserve funds. In the previous one, it was $6,400,000. So it was that $188,000 difference that we had neglected to put into the budget. So that's really the only other change. All the expenditures remain the same. We just neglected to include that.
Okay. With that being said, we'll get into the business of finance administration. The committee recommends the Board of Commissioners approve a motion to approve resolution R 2023-29 authorizing the budget transfers from the 2023 budget.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Commissioner comment.
Basically, this is just balancing this last year's budget for tax purposes, and then making John do what he's going to do to balance everything out.
Okay, public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, next, entertain motion to approve. Committee recommends approving ordinance number 1747, authorizing the 2024 tax levy.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
And based on the information that Matt gave us today, the only number that's changed is the general purpose is put to 4.815 mils. Correct, Matt? Okay, so,
Okay?
we have a secsecond? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second.
Basically, that's the only thing that we edited earlier before we started the meeting was the amount of millage for the general purpose because of the 188,000 coming out of reserve.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other commissioner comment?
Yes. This committee worked extremely hard, and so did the staff, on this tax increase, and it reflects,
That's you.
Thanks.
the majority of this tax increase reflects our investment in the new police station. And it's worth every penny of it.
Okay. Any public comment?
You knew I was coming.
I know.
Brian
I've
Shannon,
been
Quigley
waiting.
Avenue, could have done a lot better in controlling the costs, resulting in a 13.5% tax increase. Trust me.
Thank you, Brian. Any other public comment? No. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
1C. The committee recommends the approval of motion, or for resolution R 2023-30, reestablishing the rate of refuge for 2024.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Commissioner discussion?
No change
No
from last
change.
year.
Okay. Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1748, adopting the 2024 township budget.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Commissioner comments? Any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Next is E. Motion to approve resolution R 2023-31, adopting the 2024 to 2028 capital improvement budget.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion, anybody? Or comment? Any public comment? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, then we go to 2A. Motion to approve resolution R 2023-32, granting the appointment of John D. Bates as the primary voting delegate and Matthew Canlon as the first alternate voting delegate on the tax collection committee.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from commissioners?
This is just because Randy is retired and John's taken over Randy's duties.
Any public comment? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, 2B, motion to approve the reappointment of Charlie Jones as an at-large member of the Parks and Rec Advisory Council to serve a new two-year term to expire October 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Motion second. Commissioner comment? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, now we have an issue. Two electrical engineers came for our committee. One was from Anthony and one was from Paul. They both want to serve our township as electrical engineer vacancy on the Uniform Construction Code Local Appeals Board. We moved them both forward at committee for the board to decide who they would like to serve. They both have incredible resumes, and we would be lucky to have either one. But I know Anthony supported, well, he referred us to a gentleman who was from Abington, Stephen Miller. He has a lot of credentials, and he serves on, he has a lot of registrations in the state of Pennsylvania, honors and awards. Anthony, I don't know if you want to say something about him. I don't know him at all.
Steve is an excellent electrical engineer. He's a by-the-books engineer. He knows the code inside and out. He is in charge of all of the QA, QC within my firm for all of our electrical engineering projects. So he is the one who reviews every single project that comes out of our firm for adherence to the code. So I could not speak more highly about Steve Miller. He knows the UCC better than anybody else. He's also, I know that, we're looking at this from the perspective of Upper Moreland Township, but Steve also holds licenses in 10 or so other states. So not only is he aware of it from our perspective, but he's aware of it from the overall electrical engineering perspective. So he's also just a great guy.
And just to talk about the other candidate, his name is,
Ronald Schwer.
Ronald Schwer.
So,
He gave us, we got a request to Paul Bertel on the 23rd. Paul, I don't think Paul knows him at all. The person who sent it, I guess, is from CHA Solutions. I guess he has the same address, so he probably works at that firm. And we got it sent to us to Paul on the 26th, and we have both of them here tonight. And
so I thank Paul for finding someone. It had been a while. Paul doesn't know this person, and we do have a personal recommendation for Stephen Miller.
I'll make a motion to approve Stephen Miller as our candidate for the Uniform Local Appeals Board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Since a recommendation from a board member, anybody from the public have a comment on this? No? Okay, since Stephen Miller has a recommendation from people, neither one of these live in the township, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, we would go with the person in the township.
Right.
With that, since there's a recommendation, I will call both of them unless the first person gets 5 votes. Since the recommendation came from 2 board members for Stephen Miller, I will call that name first for a vote. For Stephen Miller, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, Stephen Miller is our person.
Okay? All right.
Please send a letter, thank you, sure, and
For both.
sure we'll have other things for him.
I would send it to both, make sure, okay?
Well, Stephen should get the,
Well, but just let the other individual know, just in case anything happens,
Yes.
it won't be knocking on his door. This was a difficult person to get as a professional, and this is the only board that you don't have to be a member of the township to serve on it. Okay, thank you for that. All right, next we go into list of bills payable. The committee recommends the approval of general fund checks, beginning with check number 139375 and ending with check number 139706, for a total of $4,555,352.46 with no voids. Escrow fund checks, beginning with check number 9696 and ending with 9717, for a total of $9,295.79 with no voids. And liquid fuel fund checks, beginning with check number 3103 and ending with 3104, for a total of $10,063.66. It's a trifecta with no voids.
Second.
okay, we have a motion, a second. Any commissioner comment?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Randy on going out with a bang.
Okay. Any public comment? All right, with none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, next we go to 4A. We'd like to, motion to approve Resolution R 2023-33, establishing a rate of contribution to the police pension fund.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any commissioner comment?
This is a 5% contribution that the police officers make towards their pension, and it's carried, it's been that way for a while. But it's what we have to do every year.
Any public comment? All in favor, say aye.
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 Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
4B, a motion to approve resolution R 2023-34, authorizing the township treasurer, Alex Levy, to use Key Bank as a depository for funds received by the treasurer on behalf of the township, and TD Bank and have professional savings for supplemental banking services and other businesses that may arise.
Second.
Business.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments? Commissioners?
As we usually do every year.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Next, we have a motion to approve ordinance 1749, approving the 2024 schedule of the Board of Commissioner meetings.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any comments?
This is just a calendar for the board meetings, and it can always be changed by resolution. Am I correct, Matt?
I believe that's the case. Sean, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any
I like it. Yeah.
That's a quick comment, right? So, I've gotten a couple emails, we've heard it here tonight too, about tax increases and budgeting in the township. Every year, this is a public workshop, everybody's invited, it's advertised, you can come, we can talk about it. I'm stating the obvious, Brian. We encourage you to come, it's a workshop, we talk about these things together as a community. So it's on this calendar, it's a long ways out, it's November 9th, Saturday. Come, bring your coffee, hang out, listen, contribute. It's here for the conversation.
Okay, public comment. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Now we go in the new business, section 5A. Motion to approve the planning assistance contract between the Montgomery County Planning Commission, right? It just says Montgomery County, but between the county, or is it between the Planning Commission?
Planning Commission.
Okay, and Upper Moreland Township.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
This is a 3-year contract. The total for their services over 3 years is $47,000.
Correct. It is the commissioners. There's a correction. It's commissioners of Montgomery County.
Okay, so it is between the Montgomery County and Upper Moreland Township. I guess they're just a agency within the town.
Right.
County.
And having them with the township representing, it really helps us with the county, making sure we're in line still with them, and they're involved in all of our things, and they will be heavily involved next year in some rezoning that we would like to do. So we welcome them again. Any other?
I just want to advocate for the services provided by the Montgomery County Planning Commission. They are an integral part of our APA. They have exposure to many other municipalities, and that is helpful to help educate members of our APA and to give guidance to the Board of Commissioners. And it's very affordable. These services would cost us a lot more if we had to go out and contract them privately. It's my entire career as a commissioner, it's been an extremely integral part and very helpful. We don't always agree, but it's guidance, and we appreciate that.
Any other commissioner comment? Any public comment? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, the next 3 items are tax assessment appeals. The first item is the motion to approve a tax assessment appeal between the township, the school district of Upper Moreland, and the taxpayer, Telford IDA, for a property located at 1900 to 1990 County Line Road.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
This is going to be a refund to the taxpayer of $18,564.57.
Okay,
These happen all year long.
and this is something, the school district has the lead on this. They're the ones that usually lead the whole discussion. We usually follow their lead with these. So, any public comment?
Yeah. Usually,
You are
follow the school
commissioner right
district. Is it?
You're commissioner right now.
I got it.
Okay.
So usually follow the lead of the school district is actually correct. But on occasion, there has been a couple discrepancies where they want to go one direction and we didn't.
Yep.
And it's respectful, and I totally agree with this particular one, but I just want to let everybody know that it's a formal process and we don't always agree. It's not a slam dunk.
Okay, public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, next is 5C. Motion to approve the tax assessment appeal between the Township and the School District of Upper Moreland and the taxpayer Village Green Associates LP for the property located at 503 South Warminster Road, known as Village Green Apartments.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any commissioner discussion or comment?
This is going to increase the tax base to the township by $11,536.62 for 2023.
Any other comments from commissioners? Any comment from the public? If all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Okay, motion to approve the tax assessment appeal between the township and the school district of Upper Moreland and the taxpayer Murray & Mills Associates LP for the property located at 2255 Computer Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner comment?
Yeah, this is the storage location right next to Best Buy, right across from Best Buy. Am I correct, Kevin?
Yep.
Across
Oh,
from,
sort of Lowe's,
across from Sam's Club.
Sam's Club and Lowe's, right?
Yeah.
Not Best Buy's.
So it's right on Computer Road. So
Okay.
this is going to increase the tax for 2024 to the township for $855,160.
The assessment,
Yeah.
right, is increasing by that amount.
Fiscal impact is it says 8,800.
Yeah, I know. That's the increase in.
It's adding to the
About
assessment.
$6,000
Columns all the way over to the right.
tax obligation.
So just to reinforce Commissioner Valenza's comments about following the lead of the school district and the assessments, increase in taxes for the township, $11,536. Increase in taxes for the school district, $66,543. So that's just to reinforce those comments that he made about how we follow the township leads, and they're the biggest player here.
Okay. Did I call the vote on that?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Public comment.
Public comment? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
5E, the committee is canceling the December 18, 2023 Finance Administration Committee meeting.
Okay.
That
Thank you.
includes business for finance and administration.
Next up, community development, Mr. Spearing.
Thank you, Commissioner McFatrick.
This going to be long?
I can run it for him.
Okay, code enforcement, land development subdivision applications, we have none. List of upcoming zoning hearing board meetings, we do have one. On December 14th, in this room at 7:30, there will be a zoning hearing board meeting for petition of Christopher Lear, the property located 2300 Wyandotte Road in Willow Grove. Applicant seeks relief of Upper Moreland Township Code 350 for development and use of property for metal recycling storage. And it goes on and on. So that hearing will be held in this room Thursday, December 14th at 7:30 p.m. Thank you. Next.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah, I would like to consider asking our solicitor to represent the township for this
Is this
use.
appropriate right now, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Commissioner Pruzzi had first mentioned it, but it's outside storage, so there's concern just with the visual effect on that road and then also the environmental effects of having the outdoor storage.
Okay, what this is a, what's the actual
All right, well, let me read the rest of it since we want to consider our solicitor going there. So I will read the entire.
Okay, because we have other issues.
Yeah, okay. So,
Salvage.
application seeks relief of Upmoreland Township Code to develop the use of property for metal recycling and storage. Applicant seeks a special exception from Chapter 350, for a permit to develop on a lot less than the minimum 2 acres, a special exception for non-conforming impervious surface area greater than the maximum of 70%, and a variance for outdoor storage of recycled material. A special exception to allow the zoning hearing board to authorize 15 parking spaces as a strict conformances to the parking standards is proposed as unreasonable. And finally, interpretation that the proposed storage area is not defined in the ordinance and not subject to the paving requirements. An alternative application requests a variance to permit gravel area rather than paved property located in S Small Industrial District.
Okay, I just want to elaborate on what Cheryl has started here, and Anthony sent the first email. For non-pervious, they would like stone. That means anything they put that's metal, gas cans, anything. It goes right through into the soil. We have a problem with that right away, anything that's in metal. Our second one is outside storage. We're usually pretty particular because they can store it 30 feet high. You see these things with large piles of salvage places. So that's one of our other ones that we're very particular what outside storage, that it's contained in a nice looking manner. For the property, yes, it is undersized. That's something for Sean to figure out there. So the question for this board right now, do we have 4 people that would like to see?
Want me to make a motion?
What's that?
Want me to make a motion to have it represent us?
Go ahead, make
Okay,
that way.
so hearing all this and the fact that it is an S industrial district, I'll make a motion to have our solicitor represent us at the zoning hearing board meeting December 14th to represent the township's interest, because the zoning hearing board is an independent judicial body.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any more comments from commissioners?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner Lockard. I know that traditionally Wyandotte Road has similar businesses along that area. However, they should all still be regulated with the same care and sustainable practices that we try to embody within this township. There are residences back there, a few, not many, but still, it's people live back there. It's very close to a creek. There are a lot of issues that I see with this, this series of requests that, in my opinion, using the applicant's words, appear to be unreasonable. So I really believe strongly that our solicitor should be there to represent the interests of the township.
Okay, any other comments from up?
Yeah, this 2300 Wyandotte looks like it's not developed, and you can look right past it to the Willow Point. You have to go over the turnpike to see it, but there's your view from Willow Point right there. So this is all grass. It's not developed at all. So would they have to go, my question to you guys are, do they have to go through land development if they were to build anything, or is it just supposed to be used for storage?
No, it's a business of.
Okay. I'm okay with what you're saying. I just,
Well, if they have to put a building, yes.
Yeah.
They're coming to land development.
yeah,
If they make it through zoning.
yeah.
Well, are there any public comments? Okay,
Real quick, I believe this is the right place for this application of business based on the zoning, but there is a lot of important issues that both of these commissioners have presented, and I think there's probably some middle ground, and it's very important that our solicitor represents the interest of the Board of Commissioners in the township.
Thanks for that
Thank you.
clarification.
Okay?
I have one question. We have anything with the 611 metals recycling down there? Is there any overwatch with them?
I don't know, you'd have, Paul
Yeah, I'm
would be,
just curious. I
Paul
know
would be the
they're-
only one to answer.
Yeah, anybody that has any stuff to recycle, they can take it there. I just don't know how they,
I don't know.
They treat us well.
I don't want to know, but it's on the other side.
Any other public comment? Okay. All in favor, say, this is to let Sean go to the zoning and look for our best interest. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay, continuing on the agenda for the Community Development Committee. We have a motion to approve the conditional use application submitted by BT Blair LLC and the property located 2300 Computer Avenue, 2309 and 2317 Blair Mill Road, currently known as Executive Moves.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Comments from the board?
I think the board's been very clear on the direction here. It's a challenging parcel to develop, and the concerns of density and open space are critical pieces and very important to this community. And that's why this motion is on the table here. We've had several conversations in public, and the applicant was good enough to grant us an extension to have further consideration. I will be supporting this motion.
Any other comments from the board?
As I stated at the last meeting, in my opinion, it doesn't comply with the ordinance, specifically item P, which talks about open space and incorporating natural features. So I am not in favor. I do not support this.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, one more thing. I think it's especially important in this location because it's in the middle of large retail and industrial uses. So I think it's even more important to have a community that has some natural features.
Okay. Anybody from the public?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I have something. So, I've also been very vocal about my, my reasoning against this development and the capacity in which it's been designed. I don't see anything wrong with the conditional use, however, I do see, to Commissioner Lockhardt's points, that it does not conform to the fullest extent in which the applicant is requesting. And so for that reason, I'm also against this application.
Okay. Any public comment?
Sandra Richmond, 1505 Sycamore Avenue, Ward 3. The conditional use application was first denied on November 13th. And November 14th, the developer was out at the site clearing the wooded portion of the lot, unbeknownst to the township, I believe, certainly unbeknownst to the members of the public. A significant portion of the wooded area is already destroyed. This says to me that this developer has brazen confidence that their project will be approved. It also does not bode well for my feelings about the developer working with the township in good faith. So as this project continues to be looked at, I want this township to be aware of what has already happened and be sure to keep the township's interest at heart when you're making further decisions about what happens with this community.
Ms. Richmond, thank you very much for your comments. I just have to correct you on one thing, that we've never denied the conditional use. We tabled it.
Tabled it.
Any other, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Peter Cleland with BT Investments. I hadn't planned on speaking this evening, but I do need to respond to this accusation. We were not out clearing trees on the property in defiance of anything. We were performing geotechnical infiltration testing on the site in the interest of advancing what we believe to be land development plans forthcoming. We need that information to properly, fully design our stormwater management facilities. The township came out and investigated the claims, agreed that there was nothing ill-fated going on at the site. Some of the undergrowth in the wooded area was moved in order to get in and access so that they could do their infiltration testing on the site. And I think Matt will confirm that we've not cut down any trees.
Thank you for that confirmation.
At least none that qualify for replacement requirements.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to say, I've had a long history coming to these meetings. And 25 years ago, I was fighting with Mr. Spearing about an issue like this. And he explained to me, if we go to court, we'll lose. So there's no point in defeating this because we can't win. What we will do is expend a lot of legal fees in defending it. And the advice of our legal counsel is not to get into court about it.
Okay. Okay, any other public comment? We normally don't let you come up twice, but go ahead. Go ahead.
This is the second time I've mentioned trees being removed. The first time was at the Olive Garden restaurant. I said that there were trees being removed from the site on the drive into the site from Sycamore Avenue, and I was told that trees haven't been cut down. I can show you pictures of stumps along the way. Today, I'm being told that no trees were cut down. I challenge all of you to take a ride out there and see that there are tree trunks and they are not my imagination.
Okay. With that, I'll take the last comment. Nick, I think you're correct, and Kevin, this is why we have the self-storage in the middle of Willow Grove. Zoning is very specific. Conditional use is very specific. If they meet it, it's a safety issue. You have to prove them that they are a safety issue. That is what we cannot prove, that it is a safety issue. They have met what asks for the conditional use. I do believe, I can't say I'm not an attorney, but we were advised, but it happened to me before with down here in the middle of Willow Grove. You lose any conditions you put on it if you lose up the county. They usually wipe anything out that you've said, and they give them exactly what they wanted from the very beginning. I think what they're going to do is better looking, more community looking, as townhouses, 2 stories with one in the middle. They could have come in with one building, big square building, put it in the middle of the lot, and yes, they could have gotten more space, and by right, but it would look horrible. So that is the reason that I am voting for this. With that.
So to add to that about the conditions, the only condition that we would lose, from my understanding, is the crosswalk across Maryland Road and a sidewalk on another property there that connects their community eventually with the power line trail. That's the condition we have.
Okay. With that, I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
Okay. Abstain? Want to poll the board, Matt?
Do we do a roll call? Is that what you're saying? Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Nay.
Ward 5?
Aye.
Ward 6?
Aye.
Ward 7?
Aye.
Okay, we got 5-2?
Yep.
5-2, motion passes. We're still going, Karen.
Yep. Continuing on the community development agenda, motion to approve proposed renderings for streetscaping improvements along Easton Road frontage.
Second.
This is a Federal Realty, item that they presented in the public at our last meeting. And everybody worked hard on this. And I'd like to thank the contributions of the Historical Association, and the commission, both. And many individuals involved in that. It was, very hard to get to this place where we are, and a lot of thoughtful conversation went into it.
It actually ended up the association's kind of idea. So from the very, very, very beginning.
Oh.
Yes. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, so the concept was one that we approved and decided to pass forward to tonight's meeting. However, we did leave it that Federal Realty was going to look at the scale of the die-cut object to see how they could make it not look like a decal and more like a sculpture. So I know that we had said that additional renderings for that would not be required. However, has Matt, have you or has anybody else in the administrative staff been in contact with them to see the advancement of this?
I have. I have been called by Paul.
Okay.
Paul said they are trying to get depth and size changes.
Okay.
That's all Paul said. But that's what they're working on. That's all Paul told me.
That was my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is this sculpture of the trolley, from here on the side of the building.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, motion passes.
The final piece of business for this Community Development Committee is to announce that we will not be holding a December 11th Community Development Committee meeting in this room. The meeting's been canceled. Happy holidays.
Okay, next, Parks and Recreation, Mr. Scully.
Yes, Parks and Recreation recommends a motion to approve an extension of a memorandum of understanding with Alan Myers for a staging area at Surrey Lane and Lancaster Place for the Warminster Bridge repair project. Very controversial.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner comments, first I'd just say, last we heard, third week of January. But any comments from the board? Okay, we have no control over this, or else,
Call your state rep,
yeah. they're the
defend
one.
that project.
So, unfortunately.
Second week of January.
February 1st.
March 15th. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Our second item is the December 18th, 2023 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting is canceled.
Okay, we will, thank you. We'll go to commissioner comments. I would like to start out for Chief Block saying 0. He keeps counting down the months. With that, we're missing an awful lot from this board. Sam, Kevin, and Anthony. I know you're all moving on, but you've made many, many good changes for this township. And I just have to say thank you, because I learned, I call it the underground from Kevin, on projects and stuff. And Sam counts every penny in this township.
Somebody's got to.
So they've been 16, these two have been 16 years. Anthony's been 6?
3.
1, 3?
Yeah.
Who's on the zoning hearing
I
board?
think you've had a lot to
feels
say
like-
those 3 years.
Feels like forever, doesn't it?
But thank you, because it's your expertise. We're losing a lot of expertise. And I want to say welcome to the 3 new commissioners for next month. I can't wait to get started. We do have 3 or 4 things that are going to really hit the ground running, very hard. So that needs to be done. And welcome to you guys. Anyone else?
My turn. I just want to thank the boards of commissioners that we've dealt with. I want to thank the township staff, the professional staff, the supervisors, and the township employees. I mean, they do a great job for this township. I mean, I lived in Upper Moreland for 65 of my 67 years. It's 16 years, and it's just been bittersweet. I mean, I really liked what I did. I liked serving the people, and I always look at it as if it's better now than when I got here. I did good, but I did what I wanted to do. So I just want to thank the people. I want to thank the commissioners and everybody for giving me the opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you.
So earlier tonight, we made a decision about our volunteer fire company. And I'm looking at this as an opportunity for new leadership and to make a change. This is not a unique situation we're in. Volunteer fire companies are losing membership across the whole state, and there's been numerous efforts to make changes. And I truly believe that Upper Moreland Township is full of special people, and it is a very desirable place to live. Commissioner Peruzzi can attest to that. So, with that being said, I'm looking forward to change and to all that's ahead of us for the new board to take care of. Thank you for my fellow commissioners. Thank you to staff, and thank you to this community for giving me the opportunity to serve.
We know you're aspiring. You're not going anywhere. You'll be back.
Yeah, there, yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, if I can. Sure. Yeah, thank you. It's been an honor to be here. I know to Kevin, or to Kip, it's felt like forever, but it's only been 3 years. It's been an amazing 3 years. I came into this board in a very unfortunate manner, and I have taken that to heart the entire time that I've been here. Thinking about what my predecessor would do, thinking about how his heart was always in this for the community, and I hope that the way that I have represented the board before exhibits that same type of commitment to the place where I live and started a family. The individuals on this board are all amazing. The staff here is incredible, and it's a testament to the knowledge that they shared with me and guided me with that I've had this privilege to be here. So thank you, everybody. It's been fantastic, and I look forward to what comes next.
And Anthony, you did, Joe, well, you did well. I would think you would be proud of the job you did for him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
I would like to welcome the new commissioners because they're young.
Thanks, Sergeant.
So not only are they young, they bring to the board a new dimension, a new eyesight, a new keen vision. So get ready to work hard.
And that's what I'm hoping in the fire department also, that the younger people in the fire company will become the new leadership in the company because, you know, change happens and it often is for good.
Is that it from commissioners? The last thing I'm going to leave with is there's been comments about the firemen here. When they were active, the other 55 of them or whatever, when they were active, we appreciate it. And they were all very good then. The 5 or 6 that we have now that actually respond are great people. Well respected. That's all we got. And we need more to sustain, and some younger ones too. But I hope nobody thinks that we're bashing the 6 that have come out this year and last year. They do a great job, and they come when they can, but 6 people, when they can, might be the day they can't when one of your houses is on fire. Now, with that said, we have a paid staff that is going to be there within 5 minutes to your house with a truck. And there has been plans going back and forth with this board. I don't know if we all agree on one complete plan yet, but I know that police chief, fire chief, Matt have been working very hard on this. And I welcome the guys that are running now to come back. It's just, we have to make a bigger, better managed department than we have now. And most people don't know it. We talked about this report. This report was just a little piece. We had a couple weeks that we got notices, no volunteers available this week. That was one of our determining factors in this, and that was a while ago, not in the last month or two. So I want to commend the ones that have run with the fire department, and hopefully we do get many more. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting.